Hey guys, Justin Main here, and I am losing my voice, so I apologize. Um, it's been a long past few days. I've been shooting, so it's a lot of screaming has been happening, a lot of yelling. So excuse me and my raspy voice right now. It's not how I normally sound, but the big thing that I wanted to do today was just talk with everybody and just get to know everybody and answer any questions you guys have about Crow, any questions you have for me personally, maybe share a little bit more information about what we're intending to do with the film and when you can see it and what exactly you're going to be seeing in the actual film itself. Just to introduce you, my name is Justin Main. I have been acting for professionally for probably about 5 or 6 years now. But I've been acting since the age of 16. I did get into pro wrestling when I was 19, and I would say ever since 2014, it's been very consistent for me as an actor, and taking that more seriously as a profession. I've worked in several feature films, several short films, music videos, commercials, you name it, I've done it in terms of just experience. So I've been kind of hitting this pretty hard for the past several years now. For Crow, to me, it's been a lifelong dream, or pretty close to it, to do my own version of it. I've always wanted, ever since I saw the movie when I was 12, the original Crow. Um, it's always been something in the back of my mind that I wanted to do. I had my ideas for it. I had different things that I wanted to see in the franchise. Um, it was always something that I wanted to do, and I wanted to put my own spin on it. So to be able to do that now has been such a blessing for me, and I'm very grateful for it. I'm very thankful to be at a place in my career where I felt like I could where I could accomplish it and do the property justice. And that was one thing that I really wanted to focus on with Crow itself, is to make sure that we don't skim the water. I wanted to make sure that we give it the best that we got, the most amount of attention that we could to detail. I wanted to make sure it was a quality fan film. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't something that, you know, that you could laugh at, and I wanted to I wanted to be able to provide something for fans by a fan, because I know how you guys are feeling, especially Crow fans. It's been quite a while since we've seen really. Hey Aaron, how's it going? It's been quite a while since we've actually seen a Crow film. I think the last one was in like 2005 or 2006, which is the Crow Wicked Prayer. So it's been, what, 14 or 15 years, and we haven't really had anything besides the remake and reboot, rumors and all that stuff, the starting and stopping with that. So I really I wanted to see something, and I felt like now was the best time. Especially considering, I feel like creatively comic book movies and superhero movies, horror movies are all at. Hey Nick, how's it going? They're all at a creative peak. They're all at a creative high, and I feel like The Crow, the property itself, could play very well to that. There's a lot of things in the Crow franchise, especially The Crow, the first movie, that were really ahead of its time, and I think in 2020 we can keep that tradition going with this franchise. There's a lot of promise with it. There's a lot that you can do with this film franchise and with the graphic novels, with the comic books itself. It's a very rich character. It's a very rich mythology that really has not been thoroughly investigated and discovered yet. There's so much you can do with it, and it's still surprising to me that nothing has come to the surface from like a studio to actually make something of like an event film, like a feature film in theaters. So long story short, I really wanted to take it upon myself and a few very carefully chosen and 100% trusted filmmakers to bring this film and the vision that I had in my head to to life. So that's kind of where we came from with Crow in terms of getting it made. Now, how it kind of ended up where it's at right now, that's a very interesting story, especially considering we are in the COVID 2020. So that kind of that was an interesting experience when it came to filmmaking, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, so I just wanted to let a lot of the Crow fans know that this isn't something that we're like, oh, this is a cool character, let's do it. We take this property and we take this franchise very seriously, especially me, because this is the Crow. The Brandon Lee's performance really made me who I am today. It made me rethink how love should be thought of, how revenge should be thought of. It kind of transformed me as a person personally, and then professionally, it just made me want to become an actor. Hey Ryan, how's it going? It made me want to become an actor. Watching Brandon Lee's performance as Eric Draven was just, there's no way you can top it. He took that role so personally and to his heart that it's one of those performances that it's career defining. Had he not passed away, I think that would have been the film that launched his career. It was you'll never touch it, you'll never outdo it, and I don't think anybody should try. And that's something that I really feel, even if they do go ahead with the remake, do a different version of the character. Don't try to recreate what Brandon Lee did, because it's going to be impossible. There's a certain magic to his performance that will never be outshone and it'll never be outdone, and I think it should be respected because of that. But on the other hand, like I said, there is a promise to this franchise and to this property, and I really think there's a lot that you can do, again, with the mythology, and that's something that we really explore in Crow. That's something that we really, really push the boundaries on. We take a few chances, and we ask new questions that haven't been asked in the franchise yet, and very little in the graphic novels and comics. Hey Dominic, how's it going? Brianna, The Crow has always been a favorite movie of mine. I am very excited to see how this turns out. Oh, well, thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate that, and so do the cast and crew of this film. That's been a whole other separate story. The amount of passion and effort that went into making this film. Like I said, I've worked on several films, short films, feature films. I've worked on everything from $0 budgets all the way to $150 million budgets, and I've never worked on a set that was as dedicated and as hardworking as this one was. We kind of had this, best way of explaining this, it's kind of like a magical feeling when we were filming this. We got this feeling that we had something really special in our hands while we were shooting it, and it was really it was very profound to me to be able to feel that, especially on my own set. This is the first film I've ever produced, and to have that type of camaraderie between cast and crew was really nice to experience, and I wish I could have it on every set, but to be able to have it on Crow was amazing, and I think it'll really show through on the screen when people actually watch it when it gets released. I think this is something that'll be I think it can appeal to a wide variety of audiences. It can it's not just an action movie, it's not just a horror movie, it's a romance, it's a drama, it's a mystery, it's noir. There's a lot of different things that that this film is, and that's just very true of the Crow franchise in general. Even the sequels, they're all very, very, I don't want to say all over the place, but they're very, you can't pinpoint them. You can't target them to one specific genre or category. They're all very all-encompassing types of films, and that's what we wanted to stay true with Crow. Chris Olivieris, I'm very excited to watch him, and I completely agree about Brandon Lee's performance. Well, thank you. I'm glad we're on the same page. Dominic Rabio, when and where will we get to watch it? Please make it available in Canada. Quebec, to be more precise. Yeah, it'll definitely be available in Canada, and you'll be able to see it then, too. That's actually one of the questions I will be answering today, so just hang on tight, and I will get to that. And by the way, hi, Mom. I see you that you're watching. All right, so I want to get to the questions. I don't want to hold off for too long. I want to make sure that I get to every single question that was asked. If you guys have any questions during this live feed, please feel free to ask away. Just comment below. If there's anything you want to know, I'll tell you within certain limitations. I don't want to spoil anything, but I want to make sure that I can, at least if there are any concerns or any questions, I can clear the air. But just know that I will not be spoiling the film. All right, so we'll start with questions that I got from Facebook. The first question comes from Dawn Marie and Dan Pesta. Thanks for submitting the question, Dan Pesta. He's actually playing Julian in Crow, and he has this amazing performance in the film. It's very intense. Best way of explaining it, and I can't wait for people to see what he does. It was so good working with him. But the question is, what are you looking at in the photo? So I just released this photo on the social media not too long ago with Dean, the main character, the Crow, looking down at the ground. It's kind of suspicious. We don't really share or detail what exactly he's looking at. But he is definitely looking at something, and with murderous contempt. That's pretty much all I want to tell you. I guess I can give you a hint. I am looking at a person, but I'm not going to tell you which person I'm looking at. Next question comes from Andrew Ramirez. Hey, Andrew, thank you for submitting a question. Is the film based off of the comics, movie, or is it a different vision entirely? Okay, so this is definitely a question I wanted to clear up. This is a fan film, but it's more than a fan film. It's a film that we are taking very seriously as a film. We want to have it stand on its own two legs. The worst thing that I think you could do, and this isn't a slight against fan films, is try to recreate entirely the first movie, or just, I mean, this is true of any fan film, trying to recreate that film in general. What we wanted to do was bring our own vision and our own inspiration behind our film to light. We wanted to take the mythology, and we wanted to take new ideas, different ideas, new characters, a new story, and we wanted to really push that forward to the forefront. We do pay homage and we do pay respect to the films that come before us, especially The Crow, but we wanted to really have our own film that stood on its own two legs. We wanted to have a really strong, solid story that could almost double as a sequel to the films. We more or less wanted it to be considered, I don't want to consider it canon in the franchise. Obviously, we can't. We're a fan film, but we wanted to have that same type of vibe or feeling to be able to give the fans, I guess, just something that they could chew on that's brand new, that hasn't been seen before. So, yes, it is inspired by the films before us, but it is also an original film and with an original story and completely brand new characters. Dominic Rabio, how long will the movie be? Good question. We're still working that out, but it's looking like it's going to be at least 40 minutes. We're still in the post-production phase. We're still going through some of the edits right now. So it's hard for us to really give a defined answer to the runtime, but we're anticipating at least 40 minutes, maybe 45. It really depends on a few different things that we're going to be doing in the post. We'll know probably in about a month or so roughly what the runtime is going to be. All right, next question from Morgan L. Zainab, who played an extra in one of our scenes in the film. So thank you for submitting this question, Morgan, and thank you for being a part of Crow. When will it be released? Okay, so I have good news and I have bad news about the release date. I don't know what you guys want to hear first, but I'll start with the bad news, and then hopefully I can make it up with the good news. The bad news is we're probably not going to hit the October 30th release date, unfortunately. It sucks, but this is where the good news comes in. We are taking our time with this post-production process. We do not want to rush through this film. We do not want to rush it out. We do not want to shortchange this film at all. We want to make it as high of a quality film as we possibly can. And if we try to hit that October 30th release date, I can't promise that it could be as high quality of a film as it could be if we waited like another few weeks or a month. So right now we are currently anticipating sometime in November, maybe December, if things get pushed back a little bit further. We're still going to hit 2020, so it will be out this year. But unfortunately, we will not be hitting October 30th. At least I don't think we will. However, we will be releasing something on October 30th. So I want to clarify that right now. We're going to release a surprise. I'm not going to tell you what it is, and it's not the official trailer. The official trailer will be coming out at a separate time. It'll be a different surprise that'll be coming out on October 30th. But yeah, so that's something that I wanted to establish right now. Probably won't be hitting October 30th, but we will be releasing something on October 30th. I got a few comments while I was talking. I talk too much sometimes. Let's rewind a little bit. That's passion right there. We're serious filmmakers. The last thing you want to do is, for me personally, this is a 20-year journey. For the cast and the crew, this is about a year. The last thing we want to do is put all that hard work that we put into this film and just half-ass it. That's the last thing we want. So yeah, I'm glad you guys are okay with us pushing it back a little bit to fine-tune it. Ryan, I want to know how writing Crow was for you. It took me a month and a half to get Spider-Man. After months of putting it off sucks. I had to push filming back, but can't rush perfection. So the writing process, we had two different writers. We had basically my original story idea, and then we had Melinda Doan Bryce flesh that out. She wrote the first few revisions of the script, gave us a solid backstory, solid backbone to work with, and it really helped give us the format of how we wanted this film to look. Once Matt Szakal, the director, came on board, he went through the script a little bit and he fine-tuned it a little bit more to have his own input on it, which really kind of fleshed out certain aspects of the story. And yeah, so that's pretty much our writing process. It took about, I want to say about 2 or 3 months for us to really get it to where we needed it to be. Especially once we did the casting process and things changed dramatically after the casting process. We got a lot of inspirations from some of the performances that we had during our callbacks, and when we actually cast some of the actors, it really influenced us to kind of rethink what we were doing script-wise. So we wanted to, again, we try to use Crow as kind of like a collaborative process and really incorporate everybody's ideas to create one unified vision. All right, take your time and do it right. Yeah, we are. Thank you, Robert. It'll definitely be worth the wait. Larry, what's up, brother? Megan, while I'm devastated that it won't come out in October, I trust the process and know it will be amazing. Thank you for supporting. Robert Holland, are you willing to share what Obar's message was? To me, it was a very personal thing. For some people, like Ryan, for example, you could probably attribute to this, but Stan Lee was the original. I mean, he's the original guy behind Spider-Man. He's one of the first few people who created that character. He single-handedly changed superheroes and comic books forever after Spider-Man was released. He, in short words, was kind of a superhero to some people. James O'Barr is my Stan Lee. He really changed, again, his ideas, his comics, the property itself, his brainchild changed my life personally. It changed the way I looked at love. It changed the way I looked at life. It changed the way I looked at death. It changed. It really put me in a space where I, filming wise, wanted to become an actor. James O'Barr's story did that for me. And one of the big goals that we wanted to have with this film was potentially, and I didn't even know if this is going to happen, if James would actually like watch the film. That would sorry for the profanity, but it scared the shit out of me if James O'Barr saw anything from us. And I received a message from James shortly after we released the teaser about, what was it, a week and a half ago? And while it was a very short message, it wasn't very super detailed. It was a very positive message. And to me, that meant the world. It's kind of like, again, it's like your superhero is like telling you, hey, you're doing good. And that meant the world to me. I remember crying literally for 15 minutes after I got the message. I thought it was fake at first, and then I really kind of just deep dived it a little bit more, and I realized that it was not fake, and it was definitely real. And it meant a lot to me. It meant the world to me to have just anything, and to know that like James's eyes was on this project, and he liked what he saw. So it was nice. All right, so let's get back to the questions. I don't want to get too emotional here. Next question comes from Andrew J. Basham from Facebook. Hey, brother. Where was Crow filmed at? What precautions did the crew take for COVID-19? Okay, so that's actually a couple of really good questions. Crow was filmed all over Michigan. It wasn't just Detroit. We did film in Detroit, but we shot a lot in the Michigan area. Distinctly 100% in Michigan. We didn't shoot anywhere else. But we shot in Detroit. We shot in Ann Arbor, Lake Orion, Deerfield, Commerce Township. I might be missing one or two of them, but I mean, that was primarily where we shot at. A lot of our set pieces took place in those areas, and we wanted this to be a 100% Michigan film. We wanted areas to be recognizable. We wanted them to... The Crow, maybe some people know this, some people don't, originally takes place in Detroit. It's a Detroit film. Even the comic books take place in Detroit. James O'Barr originally was from Detroit. So The Crow is a very Detroit style type of experience, and I want to make sure we delivered that faithfully to this film. To me, it was a big deal. I wanted this to look like Detroit. I wanted it to look like a Michigan film, so that's why we shot primarily in Michigan. And we hired, I don't think there's anybody, I think we hired an entirely Michigan cast and crew. So everybody that worked on this film, both in front of and behind the camera, are entirely from Michigan. We wanted to really display the talent of the filmmakers here and the actors in Michigan. Because there's a lot of undiscovered talent here. There's a lot of great talent that is just literally begging to show what they can do, and I think we do that very well with this film. And then the other question was, what precautions did the crew take for COVID-19? So this is a very interesting question, because from what I understand, we were the very first film back during right after the quarantine ended. Literally, like, I think 2 days after the quarantine ended in May. And originally we were supposed to shoot in April. However, we got pushed back because we were right in the middle of quarantine. We couldn't do anything. That ended up being a blessing for us because we really got to figure out a few little things that still were kind of, I guess, I don't want to say nuisances, but they were kind of like little things that we needed to figure out to really get the production to where we wanted it to be. So we started shooting, again, 2 to 3 days after the quarantine was lifted in Michigan. And we were just going based off of information that SAG-AFTRA and other reputable agencies were releasing in terms of how to, again, shoot in this type of atmosphere. We did the best that we could with the information that we had at the time. We sanitized everything that we used. We used hand sanitizer as often as we could. Masks were handed out. Social distancing was a big thing. We had a COVID compliance officer. We'd actually had 3 of them on set at any given moment. So we made sure that we had at least somebody monitoring and making sure that we were following protocols and guidelines. Every single week during production, we also released COVID questionnaires for the cast and crew to fill out, and they were not allowed on set until those questionnaires were filled out. I'm trying to think what else we did. We did temperature checks for cast and crew while they were on set to make sure that nothing was going weird on that end. We used gloves. We staged as much as we could outside to make sure that we were not keeping everybody tight into one space. So we tried to spread everything out as much as we could. A big thing that we also tried to focus on was making sure that we had color groups situated. So we had different cast and crew into different types of groups. For example, like the actors would associate mainly with like wardrobe and hair and makeup. And they would stay tight into that group. Grips and gaffers, camera, assistant camera, stuff like that. Sound, they all congregated into their own group. Director, there's very few people on set that had the flexibility to go from like group to group. And while again we tried to do the best that we could, it's not a perfect process. And I can tell you distinctly, even with more information outside, or even with more information, now it's not, again, not every set's going to be perfect. People are just not going to listen, and you just have to manage it the best that you can. With our experience on Crow, though, I think for the most part it was a really, really strong endeavor to keep COVID-19 in mind, and we never had any issues. We never had anybody test positive for COVID-19. We never had any symptoms. We had nothing. We were clear, and we shot from late May into late July, every other weekend, so we kept those separated as well. But yeah, we never had any issues during production, and very happy about that. All right, going back to Mark Brown. Hey Justin, how long did it take to get the makeup on you, and was your look closer to the comics or more original in design? Can't wait to see the film when it's ready to go. Thanks, Mark. So how long did it take to get the makeup on me? It really depends, because we had a couple different versions of the makeup. The actual Crow makeup itself probably took about 20 to 25 minutes once it was fine-tuned. Kaylee Rice was our makeup artist, and she is stunningly amazing as a makeup artist. She is so good, and I cannot wait for people to see her work in this. She's got such a bright future. She did an absolutely phenomenal job. The makeup design was co-created by her and myself. We kind of like fine-tuned the design to get to where we wanted it to be, and I'm very happy with how we had it turn out. We do have a little bit of controversy on that end, because I know some people have commented that it's vastly different from the original Crow makeup, and that was by design. We didn't want to recreate the exact makeup. We wanted to take this into a different direction, and we did that with the makeup. We wanted to show that this is a different film. This isn't the same thing that you've seen before. While there are influences, it's going in a different direction with the mythology, and the makeup was just an example of that. So you can see the little influences from different Crow properties and, Eric Draven and whatnot, but we, again, wanted to have an original design for Dean in this film. The design inspiration, if I have any wrestling fans watching this, actually came from Sting back when I was a kid. He had these, 3 lines that would go underneath and above the eyes, and I thought it was the coolest design ever. And I really wanted to try to do something with that for this film, and that's kind of where my inspiration personally came from. So yeah. And then, yeah, I think that for the most part answered that question. What does the soundtrack look like? So that's currently something that we're working on right now. We're in the post-production process. We have Nathan Moser doing pretty much all of our post-production sound, everything from sound mixing to sound design to Foley to the score. Nathan's got a lot of work ahead of him, but I trust him with what he's doing, and so does the rest of the crew. Nathan's amazing at what he does. He is seriously stunningly good. With sound and just with audio in particular. He's going to nail it out of the park, and I can't wait to see what he does with this film. Sound plays a really big part in Crow, and I mean a really big part. So you'll notice it and you'll see it when the film comes out, but that's something that we wanted to pay attention to, was the sound of the film. And the soundtrack is a big deal. We wanted to make sure that Crow... because if Crow fans know, the Crow soundtrack is famous. It's one of the best film soundtracks of all time. It's a defining sound of that era. And the film itself is very musically driven. So I wanted to pay honor to that. I wanted to pay tribute to that, and that was something that we really are heavily focusing on. We will have, I don't want to spoil the song, but we will have a pretty well-known song in the film that we do have the licensing rights to. But we will also feature original local musical artists as well, and we are going to be featuring our own score in the film too. Emily, you're good. You don't need to apologize because you're late. Aaron, I definitely felt safe on set. Great job to you and the crew. Thank you. Robert Holland, every person the Crows bring back look different. Makes perfect sense. Really like the look. Thank you. And that was something that I noticed, especially with the Crow Salvation. That was a very unique way of getting the makeup and getting the look. I love the Crow Salvation. I know some people are not maybe super fond of it. I love that film. I actually saw The Crow Salvation before I even saw The Crow. The Crow Salvation is what prompted me to actually watch The Crow. So The Crow Salvation and that look in the film was also gave me into designing our makeup the way we did. All right, Brian Titus, what are your intentions with the project? Just a fan film, hoping for more of a pilot for a show, more of a pilot for a future treatment? It's hard to say right now. Such a weird area to be in because it is a fan film, and it is our character isn't copywritten, but the property, the IP is copywritten. So it's hard to really take this into a more serious direction when it comes to a film festival run, or if we pitch a pilot or anything like that. I think we have an idea here that we are really exploring and investigating that has legs to where we could take it into a further direction without spoiling anything. We could definitely elaborate on the story more, and it could play well to an actual show in a series, but it's hard. it's really hard to say what exactly we're able and capable of doing. I know I do have intentions to talking with the actual property and the IP owners. Once we finish the film, I want to show them a finished product before we go any further. I do want to be upfront and honest with them. I don't want to release this behind their back and then surprise them. I want them to have their input too. I want them to be able to see what we put work into. The way I kind of look at it, if you look at other fan films of similar statures, the Power Rangers unauthorized fan film pretty much reinvigorated the Power Rangers franchise. It's pretty much the sole reason why the Power Rangers movie that got released a couple of years ago was actually released, because of Power Rangers unauthorized. Revenge of the Mask was a local fan film series that was made here by local filmmakers and got like 26 or something million views on it by local filmmakers, and it was organic. It was an organic growth to get to those numbers that they got, and it shows like the quality of filmmaking that can be made into fan films. Like, it got so much attention that like higher ups were like noticing it. So I think the trick here is to be as honest and upfront with them as possible and show that there is still interest in this property. There is a lot of interest in this property. The Crow has one of the largest fan bases out there. It's a comic book franchise that has so much potential and so much promise, and could really it could do so many amazing things that I feel like it just needs that bump to get started again. And once it gets that bump, I could totally see like there being more official Crow movies or TV shows coming out or stuff like that. While I do think they should have their own unique ideas, I don't think they should remake The Crow. There's so much promise to the actual property that you could go into different directions with it. Dominic Rabio, still the best soundtrack ever. Yeah, it is. I've been listening to it nonstop, actually. Check out the band called Bonds and Mirror. I'm sure they could cook a song for you. All right, I'll check them out. Missy, so excited to see your vision of The Crow. Well, thank you. Brandon White, looking forward to this. Thank you. Dawn Marie, movie theater online. Locally, we're going to have, hopefully, depending on if theaters reopen, we're going to have a film premiere at one of our local theaters. That's the goal. It's hard to say if it's going to happen just because in Michigan our theaters are still closed. But I would like to have a theater premiere because this is a theater film. It's meant to be seen on a big screen. So that's hopefully. But yeah, it will be primarily released online, most likely via YouTube. We may release it on Facebook, just depends. But the goal here is YouTube. Will we put on DVD? Again, we can't. It's a copywritten franchise, so we can't really sell anything. However, we might be able to figure something out on that end. I haven't quite discussed that with our marketing and our post-production team, but it definitely is something that we are keeping in mind. Gotta go, man. I'll watch the rest of the live later. Cool. Thank you for coming in, Dominic. Michael Lafada, can I have your autograph? Yes. Yes, you can. Why would you have to ask that? Robert Holland, True Love Never Dies. Hell yeah. Never remake. Cool. Well, I'm glad we're all on the same page then. All right, let's go back to, I know I got a lot of questions on here, but I still have a lot of questions that were already asked previously, so let me get back to those. Rob Ellis, hey buddy. How do I go about getting a signed movie poster? So we have a brilliant poster designer by the name of Jesse Ort. We also had a brilliant photographer by the name of Brent Short, and they both had a large hand in creating the poster that we have for this film. I love this poster so much. I'm so glad we have this poster. It turned out so well, and they did an amazing, phenomenal job on that poster. We've gotten a lot of requests to produce some posters for this film, so that is definitely something that we are looking to do. I'll have more information as it comes out, but bank on there being some posters being available for purchase and whatnot. And we are not going to profit from those posters. I will donate them to charity. What if we buy an autograph and get a free DVD? All right. I could be down for that. Do you have any merchandise that's for sale? Not yet. Again, it's copywritten material. It's a fine line. The big thing that I want to establish with this is that it's a nonprofit. I'm not looking to make money off of this. I'm not looking to get a box office off of this or DVD sales or anything like that. If we do sell anything, it's 100% of the proceeds are going to go towards charity or towards, like, say if we have a theater premiere, it's going to go towards paying for that. But I'm not profiting off of any of this. This film is 100% myself. I've had a few angel investors, but it's like I would say 95% me that has funded this film. So I'm doing this for the love of it. I'm not doing this for really anything else. Dan Pesta, will there be action figures? That'd be sweet. Do I got any action figure makers on here? That'd be kind of cool. Maybe I can get Todd McFarlane to do something. That'd be great. I would love that. Dawn Marie, what was it like working with a real crow? Yeah, so that's one of our fun little surprises. I guess not a surprise anymore, but we actually had a live crow on set named Verona. She was trained by a animal trainer based out of, I think, Wisconsin, by the name of Mark Keating. It was the time of my life working with Verona. Verona was amazing. And this was her first film, too, which is really, really incredible because she did so well during her scenes. She hit her mark almost every single time. All of her stuff we got in like 1 to 2 takes, mostly 1 take. And she had complicated actions, too. Like, we would have her in scenes with other cast and crew. And, I mean, for her to respond the way she was super well trained. She was so good. I loved working with her. She's so nice, and it was just it was it was really nice to have Verona on set, and for me it was a dream come true because I mean it's a crow film. You got to have a crow in it, right? And to be able to work with one was that was fun. That was great. Francisco Blas, I'm so late in the stream. I missed the first 40 minutes. Has it been 40 minutes already? Wow. I have not been keeping track of time. My bad. Don't want to ask anything that had already been stated. Not sure if many comic-related questions had been asked. I will get to that. I actually did get your questions. Still kind of going through some of them right now. I've been answering questions in the feed as I've been getting them. So sorry about that. I will get to it. So you haven't missed anything yet. Actually, good timing because your question is next. Francisco Blas, have you read any of the trade paperbacks or previous Crow story arcs from the comics? If so, do you have a favorite or has one caught your attention to read in the future? I have not read at least a few of them. My personal favorite, obviously, besides the original that was created by James O'Barr, was Flesh and Blood. I love Flesh and Blood. I think there's so much. I'm still shocked that hasn't been adapted yet. Iris Shaw's character is. And just for anybody wondering, Flesh and Blood features the first female Crow. And she has one of the most tragic stories that I think just it would be so well adapted, and I would love to see that personally come out if anybody would make it. In terms of comics that I'm reading now, I'm still working my way through. I actually have them right next to me. I'm working my way through Crow Hack and Slash. So I got these from one of the cast members right before we went into production, and I've been just taking my time with it and reading through it. Thanks, Josh Ludi, by the way, for those comics. But yeah, so I'm currently working on those right now. Next question comes from Afonso Disc. How do we honor the Crow legacy? So a lot of how we honor it is in terms of the tone. It's in terms of the seriousness behind what we're doing. And we do have Easter eggs and stuff like that, but I don't really consider that honoring the legacy. It's more so just a little treat for the fans. We're honoring the film legacy and the comic legacy by the seriousness of what we're doing with this. And a part of that, again, like I said earlier, is by not completely redoing what has already been done. We wanted to add to that legacy. We wanted to really ask questions and push things further, so that way we could attribute ourselves to it. We honor it by taking certain visual elements from the Crow franchise into effect, editing decisions, the sound of the film and how important the soundtrack is, how important music is to it. We really honor the legacy by respecting what came before us rather than trying to redo it and trying to outdo it. We wanted to just contribute. We wanted to throw our own spin on it, so to speak. All right, going to Instagram questions. This one is from Timberwolf Taylor. What was your writing process like? I kind of answered this a little bit earlier, but again, it was just kind of like a brainchild of mine for the past 20 years. I had a story that I really wanted to just kind of explore, and I had Melinda Doan Bryce write through it, and she gave us our first couple of drafts, and gave us a really strong skeleton and arc for the story to follow. And then Matt Szakal, the director, when he came on, he helped kind of flesh out some of the things that we really wanted to build upon and really feature in the story itself. So the writing process, again, took about 2 to 3 months, and yeah. King Patrick 24. What Crow is this based off of? Not based off of any previous Crows, not really. Again, it's more of an original story, more of a unique story, an original character. It was something that we intentionally made the decision on, that we didn't really want to try to rehash any of the previous stories. We just wanted to add to the mythology. Dan Pesta, as an actor, what's it like to dive into a character like Crow? Is there any special prep? The big thing that I did personally was develop the backstory as definitively as I could. I wanted Dean to live. I wanted him to have I don't even want to say a fully realized arc before we got into filming, but I wanted to make sure that certain aspects to him were developed before we started creating relationships with someone like Sam, for example, or Donnie. I could tell you right offhand that Dean is straight edge. He doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, he doesn't do drugs, and there's a very strong reason behind that, and it was an intentional decision. He had a very traumatic experience in his teenage years happen to him that kind of pushed him course-wise to where he's at the beginning of this movie and throughout the movie. We don't touch upon that a ton, but for me, internally, it was really important to have that because it kind of guided me in the direction of how I should play Dean and how I should play in those relationships with other characters that he has in this film. So the big thing for me was, again, just developing that backstory. In terms of prep, it really just depends on the scene. I mean, Pesta, you know, you saw me behind the scenes for one of the scenes in the film. It was one of the probably the most intense experience I've ever had filming wise. We had this one specific scene in Crow that, without spoiling anything, I was so internally connected to the scene that once it finished, I literally collapsed and I had to walk off set and I cried for like 20 or 25 minutes straight. I couldn't get out of Dean's head. I couldn't pull myself out. And as an actor, that's a really important trait to have, is to be able to pull out of that character as soon as the scene is over with. And this one in particular was really, really difficult. And you can distinctly see it on screen. I remember the cast and the crew that were there watching the scene told me it was one of the more intense scenes that they had ever seen, like, performed. And while that meant the world to me, like, it was a very hard scene to get through for me, and like personally, emotionally and mentally. And I can't wait for that scene to be seen by everybody. I'm very, very proud of that one. All right, Studio Stella Polaris. Is there a release date? Not an exact release date yet, but we're targeting November, December of this year. Molly Gibson, actress. Hi, Molly. Thank you for submitting a question. I miss you, G. What's crow? It's a bird. Zachary.Dean. Any advice for actors trying to get on your level? I don't consider me being at a level yet to be able to give that type of advice. I'm still clawing and scratching my way to where I want to be. I'm still looking to get work. I'm still acting. I'm still doing what I can to be where I want to be with my career. I could tell you, based off of my own personal experiences, the big things that I would focus on is more so just staying busy consistently. Don't wait for stuff to be offered your way. Constantly work on stuff. Constantly work on scripts. Constantly audition. Constantly take classes if you're not filming anything. If you have no experience, find a way to get experience. Perform scenes. Do extra work. Do anything. Get on sets. Perform. Act. Do anything you possibly can to always be busy. That is the single-handedly what has helped me out the most. And that's something that I'm proud of personally with myself, is that I have a constant drive to keep working and to keep going. I don't like waiting for things to happen. I'm very impatient, unfortunately, which is a gift and a curse. But I think that's helped me out the most, is making sure that I always have something to work on. I'm always trying to find something, the next thing. And then the other thing I'll probably recommend is understand the business side of acting. Acting isn't just performing. If you have aspirations to make it big and to go someplace with your career, understand that the tip of the iceberg, the performance side of it, is understated by the big piece of the iceberg that you don't see that's underneath the water, which is the business side of acting. Headshots, reels, casting websites, relationships with casting directors and agents, directors, producers, anybody really. Knowing how to nurture those relationships and those connections, the networking is huge in acting, and not a lot of actors realize that. I certainly didn't for a long time, and I think it's a valuable trait and a valuable thing to know that in order for you to get to where you want to be, if you're just doing this as a hobby, then don't even give a shit about what I say. But if you want to take this seriously as a profession and as a career, you really have to understand the business side of the acting field. A really good tool to use, and a really good course that helped me just really fine tune my knowledge of the business is the Hollywood Winner's Circle by Wendy Elaine Wright. It's an online course that I took about a year and a half, 2 years ago. Some of the stuff I knew from just experience, but I could see, like, newer actors or inexperienced actors really heavily benefiting. Even advanced or experienced actors could really benefit from this course. But for me personally, it helped just really kind of answer a lot of questions that I still had that I really needed just to be confirmed. And I think that would be a valuable course to take if you want to learn the business side of acting. But just make sure that that you do understand that if you really want to take this seriously as a career. Attack on Show, which is hosted by Robert Holland, who's also in this chat. Thank you for submitting a question. Why do you think others have not been able to successfully follow up to the original Crow? That's kind of a subjective question. It's hard to say, really. For me, The Crow Salvation was a great sequel. I thought it played honor to the original movie pretty well. There are obviously issues with all films and whatnot. Even the original, there's still some issues. But I thought it was pretty original, pretty unique. It didn't try to retreat on The Crow. It tried to take things into a different direction. And that's why I personally love The Crow Salvation so much. But The Crow City of Angels and The Crow Wicked Prayer are probably two of the, I guess, the lesser well-made movies, especially The Crow Wicked Prayer. I don't want to talk shit about films. I'm going to try not to. It could have been better made. Let's just say that. I don't know. I really don't know what the issue was with some of the sequels. It's my guess is maybe there wasn't a strong enough reason to go back into mythology, something that didn't stand on its own two legs. Maybe that's maybe my only guess, but I can't speak for the other filmmakers with their movies. I don't know what happened in their production process or in their post-production process. I don't know what the intentions were, so I don't want to speculate on that. But I do wish that they were better, for sure. As a fan, just watching them, I do wish they were better sequels. I do wish they could have, I guess, done more with them. Francisco Blas, I had so much hope for The Crow Wicked Prayer. I love Six String Samurai by Lance Mungia. Yeah, so did I. I actually, when I found out that Lance was attached to Wicked Prayer, I actually watched it myself. I watched Six String Samurai, and I loved that film. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was great. I don't know what happened with Crow Wicked Prayer. I really don't know. And the funny thing is The Crow Wicked Prayer had awesome performances. I thought, even Eddie Furlong did great. I thought the performances were great. It was more so on the production side of things. I don't know what happened, really. Director's cut of City of Angels is my jam. I have not actually seen the director's cut. I have not. So if anybody could direct me in the direction of where I could see that, please send me a link or tell me where, because I would love to watch it. I feel like they lack a backing and doing understand why studios aren't putting more into a legitimate sequel. Well, I think part of the issue is people are trying to. I think they're trying to recreate the magic of the first film, and you can't. That's why it's magical. It's just you can't recreate it. And the sooner that you acknowledge that and accept that, the sooner you can go on making your own version of the story and taking it into a direction where you can use your own creativity to make it a better film. If you try to keep recreating that magic, it's not going to happen. Dan Pesta, how'd you get that scar over your eye? Unless it's not something you want to talk about. The cool story would be me saying that I was in a wrestling match and I got hit by a barbed wire bat. The actual answer would be I was 8 years old, reaching into my closet, and a cookbook fell in my eye. That's a real story. And then the last question I have actually is from Dogtow KG on Instagram. How is the movie doing? Currently, we are in the post production. We are working on. We're just about to finish up the first act, and we're starting to work on the third. We're going to start fleshing out the second act in a little bit. We're doing pretty good. I would say, again, since we've accepted the fact that we're taking our time on this and we're not rushing it out, we're really just making sure that everything is very finely tuned and tight, so that way we don't shortchange or I'm trying to think of like the best way of explaining it. I don't want to shortchange any of the scenes in there. I want everything to have a nice flow and have a nice resonance to it, and that's something that Matt Szakal is making sure of, that we're focusing on as well. The edit that I have seen so far is so good. It's so good. Matt is killing it with the editing process, and I just can't wait to see the film completely come together. We're almost there. We almost have that first full rough cut, and I just it's even if I didn't make this, I would be extremely happy being a Crow fan. So I'm really excited about what we have here. Really excited. I trust yours will be what I've been waiting for. You're on the right path, buddy. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that, and thank you for the support. Since I even told you about this last year, so I do appreciate it. But yeah, so that's pretty much all the questions that I was asked. I don't want to keep you guys too long. I think I went way past the 1 hour that I promised. Yeah, about 12 minutes. So I don't want to keep you guys, on here for too long. But thank you for coming into this Facebook Live chat with me, asking questions and throwing your comments in here. Thank you for all the support since we've released the teaser trailer and the poster, and since we've even announced the film. I can't tell you how much that means to me, the cast and the crew. It's still like really nice. Like I thought for sure we were gonna get more kickback and more shit talking and all that, but like it's been overwhelmingly positive, and that makes me so happy because this has been my life, especially for the past year that we've been working on this thing. And I'm so grateful to have the support that we have, and I'm doing my absolute damnedest, and so is our crew, to make sure that we give you the film that we're promising, and that we give you something to really be excited about and to really enjoy. We want this to be a big event film. Relatively speaking, but we want this to be something that nobody, forgets. We want this to be a really, truly great film that can really not only please Crow fans, but just film fans in general. We want this film to help, me personally, I want this film to help launch the careers of everybody involved. I want Matt, the director, to go off to bigger films. I want Peter, our cinematographer, who did a phenomenal job. This is a gorgeous film. I want him to get so much work that he doesn't know what to do with himself. I want Kaylee, our makeup artist, to have this amazing career that she gets to work on like Walking Dead or something like that. Like, I want our cast and our crew to just go on to bigger and more amazing projects, and I really want this to help launch their careers. And I would love to see this thing go viral. Personally, I would love to see millions of views on this. Even if we don't get it, that's not a big deal to me. Like, I just want people to enjoy what we've made, and I want people to really just. I want people to see the Crow franchise again. Again, from what I said, there's so much promise and there's so much potential. It's such a beautiful story that just deserves to be out there and to be seen and to be read. And I'm glad that we could help bring our own vision of that to life. And yeah, Anyway, so I'll let you guys go. Again, thank you everybody for your questions. Thank you for coming on to this chat. If you'd like to follow our progress on the film, please like our Facebook page at Crow Fan Film page. You can also follow us on Instagram at Crow Fan Film, on Twitter at Film Crow. YouTube is a little bit of a tricky situation because we don't have a custom URL yet. So just look up the Crow Fan Film teaser. You'll see my little face on there. And yeah, and please subscribe to that page. The more subscriptions we can get out of that, the better. That'd be really helpful for us personally. And then, yeah, one extra thing. We just launched our official URL, our official fan film website page at www.crowfanfilm.com. So please check that out. Please spread it around. Please let people know about it. And yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Have a nice night. Keep in mind, we are all victims. Take care.